Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to a special edition of Going for Two Live. This is the Fantasy Football Regrets. I'm Kyle Senra. Not regretting being here. Going to enjoy this, although we're going to talk a lot about things we may not have enjoyed so far this fantasy football season. And joining me for this is Dylan Schmittler. Dylan, how are you doing?
I'm not regretting this beautiful weather in Southwest Florida today.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Actually, yeah, quite. It was kind of cold and foggy this morning, but now it's turned out to be a nice sunny fall day. Unfortunately, fall days usually means fantasy football, and unfortunately, we've fallen flat on our face in some regards with some fantasy football picks. Maybe in some instances, it's a lack of a pick and not going in on players too. But yeah, we're here to talk about fantasy football regrets. So, of course, anyone watching, whether it's on the Going for Two Live YouTube page, to Twitch or Facebook pages, feel free to comment and talk about your fantasy regrets. Share them on screen. We'll share them on screen as well. Share us in the comments section. If you're watching on Twitter, unfortunately, we can't see your Twitter comments. So do head over to one of the platforms. Again, encourage people to subscribe to the Going for Two Live YouTube page, the Going for Two, again, Twitch and Facebook pages as well. So, check out goingfor2.com. All sorts of great stuff there. But Dylan, before we get started, I guess you're a big fan of Underdog. I know you do Underdog in some best ball drafts. I know we've got a promo code here. So I would say people, if you don't join Underdog Fantasy, you might regret that decision. So in order to take advantage of this $100 double deposit match, so if you put up to $100 in, when you first join, you will get that doubled. But you have to use the promo code GF2 or scan the QR code on screen in order to have access to that. So Dylan, you play quite a lot on at least with best ball drafts. So you DM me a lot throughout the summer about that. You like being an underdog? You have any regrets joining Underdog? I'm sure there might be some regrets with draft picks, but
my first two picks was in one of my drafts was Steph Diggs and Josh Allen.
All right, well then, yeah, that seems like a pretty good stack so far. Although it's funny because talking Josh Allen, is there any sense of regret? And I was going to touch on this myself, but of the elite quarterbacks maybe going too early, that these elite quarterbacks who maybe took on in the first two rounds aren't quite delivering the same difference-making production above the field as we had hoped. So is there any regret with, like, say, a Josh Allen? I know a couple leagues I took Mahomes really early, or even Jalen Hurts, and it hasn't worked out so well.
Yes and no, because I think it depends on what stack you took. Like if you took like me, I took a ton of Cincinnati Bengals stacks with Burrow, Chase, and Higgins. That hasn't worked out so well. I really tried to stay. I got some Mahomes and Kelsey stacks, but actually Mahomes was actually tough to stack in best ball because we didn't know which Kansas City receiver would step up. Oh, by the way, we still don't know which Kansas City receiver will step up. Josh Allen was one of my. I think Josh Allen ended up being my highest exposed quarterback in best ball. I tried to get him every time I got Steph Diggs. Guess who I tried to get behind him? Josh Allen. And every time I tried to get AJ Brown, guess who I tried to get?
Yeah, of course, Jalen Hurts. But yeah, I guess with Kelsey, you're having to take him so early that Mahomes rarely following to the end of the first round. I guess, yeah. Did you end up with much Kelsey at all?
I drafted Kelsey, but everybody realized, even the non-short players realized, don't let him have Mahomes and Kelsey.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. And but yeah, and I guess just that whole idea of taking those guys early, those quarterbacks again, hasn't. I know in my instance, at least my experiences, I haven't quite found that difference making that they're elevating the team so much more. I should have waited a round or two and got other quarterbacks. At this point, if you've taken Herbert, that seems like that's probably maybe the best value so far, or certainly like the really good value guys like Jared Goff, for instance, like super late. But even among the elite early guys, there was still room to maybe wait a couple rounds and still get an elite quarterback like Justin Herbert.
What? I don't know if it's just me, but like, I mean, especially in DraftKings, some of these formats where it's like where the quarterbacks win early, might might people be regretting not reaching so early for quarterback and thinking, well, why can't instead of going after Mahomes, Kelsey, Allen, and Diggs, Hurts, Brown, who would have been Burrow, Chase, Higgins, Herbert with Keenan Allen. Why couldn't some people just go, I'm on Raw, one and CeeDee Lamb, Tony Pollard, and you just take Jared Goff? Because while Jared Goff might not be the sexiest quarterback, he's been awful dang good.
Yeah, and one of the things we have at goingfor2.com are weekly rankings as well as dynasty rankings. And I know in my weekly rankings this week, I put Jared Goff at QB5. He's been incredibly impressive. Now his receiving core is fully healthy and back. So I mean, other than I guess the injuries right now are to the run game, David Montgomery and potentially Jameer Gibbs, but he's got all of his wide receivers. Sam Laporte as a tight end has come out great as a rookie. So it's yeah, I feel pretty confident starting Jared Goff over almost every quarterback this week. I of
Uh,
course like the Chargers and Chiefs are playing. Like if you got Mahomes or Herbert, like I wouldn't bench those guys for Goff. And I think Allen and Hurts, of course, I think those are the four I have though. I mean, even if you've got Lamar Jackson, I'd even consider that potentially playing Goff over Lamar Jackson this week, even if it's on the road. I know road golf is a thing, but so far he's been kind of immune to it. He's just been smashing.
especially because you might be Detroit's tailback this weekend.
I'd almost like that because I'm not good at football and I don't like the Lions, so I'd like for not good things to happen to them. But yeah, they're 5-1. They're rolling. And you know what? If they can't have a run game, I wonder if this is just a game script. Okay, winning or losing, regardless of the like where we are in the game, we are just gonna throw it 50 times this game with Jared Goff. And we're gonna rely on the short passing game as to be essentially our extension of our run game and allow us to like keep running the clock out. Seems like it's a great week for both Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown if we're just going to hyper target that matchup if we can out of the slot.
Yeah, or Sam Laporta in the middle.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. Those are probably and I mean, I think I've got Laporta as a top 4 tight end this week. So, and Amon-Ra is up there as well for me, maybe wide receiver 6 or 7. So, yeah, all three of those strong options. I mean, that might be a good DFS. I know you play some DFS as well. DFS Lions stack this week, either stacking Goff with Amon-Ra or Laporta, or maybe even both potentially. That could be quite fruitful.
Oh, and Baltimore's Lamar could get in some shootouts. You throwing Mark Andrews, Dave Flowers.
Mhm. So yeah, I guess yeah, we covered quarterbacks. Are there any other fantasy football regrets about quarterbacks that you wanted to touch on?
Why did I draft so much of Mac Jones? Because I mean, I thought Mac Jones would be a value. I mean, getting Bill O'Brien in there. Yeah, I thought Mac was going to be better, but apparently the New England Patriots are instinct from drafting, developing wide pass catchers.
Yeah, I mean I think I ranked him as the lowest QB this week, QB 26. Out of the 26 starters, he's been that awful where he's been like probably the worst starter you could possibly have. And I guess that'll tie into like one of my regrets.
Is he worse than whoever's starting for the Bears against the Raiders?
Tyson Bagman. Yeah, that's where you maybe draw the line as the kid making his first NFL start. So he's maybe QB 25, I guess. Yeah. I think in my rankings I still have to take out Justin Fields and put in Bagnett. So yeah. Yeah, maybe Mac Jones is QB 25. Uh-oh. But yeah, my kind of quarterback regrets this year, really the big ones in terms of maybe going a little early in specific leagues on say Hurts. Um, but one I've had is just going so early on the 2020 quarterbacks and maybe Mac Jones in a league or two or trading for him in dynasty more than anything. I think is what I've done this offseason because he was so cheap to acquire. Oh, a late second? Sure, I'll take a quarterback for that. I don't know. Maybe I should have any other quarterback I can just pick up and rather start over Mac Jones. I'd rather have the second or whatever it was last year. So whatever rookie I would have drafted in that spot. But I'd kind of sort of your Jags here, but I there's a couple leagues where I kind of regret going in on Lawrence, especially in redraft. Kind of taking him, once those elite six guys went, okay, I wanted to get Herbert, but he went just a little earlier, the round just before I was about to take him. Overreacting, and maybe within the next round or two, going on Lawrence is like he's the next guy, but in a big tier where maybe it was better off to wait. And so far, that's one. And then dynasty startup I did the only dynasty startup I did this offseason, Dylan, and it was I decided to trade my second, third, and fourth round startup picks in order to get another first round pick and then two later picks. I think an eighth rounder and a ninth rounder. And my thinking was I wanted two elite quarterbacks. I want to pay up for two young stud quarterbacks. I got two young quarterbacks. They're not so much studs as I took Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. I should have taken Lamar Jackson, who was on the board. This startup was done in March, and this is when the contract stuff with Lamar was going on, and like even the thought of, is he going to get franchise tag? The fear of, could he possibly sit out some of the season? And what's silly? I should have just gone for Lamar. I think I let the fear of the situation kind of cloud my judgment. That, and now Lawrence and Fields, neither's lived up to expectations. So that's a very specific regret.
I wish I would have gone after Lamar more, especially. I mean, toward the end, I got some more Lamar stacks, but I got the wrong Raven receiver. I thought it was going to be Rashad Bateman. Apparently, it's Dave Flowers. But I mean, one of my favorite. When I drafted the Raven Lamar, I did one of two things. I would either go Tyreek Hill, Mark Andrews, Lamar, then get Christian Kirk, Brandon Ayuk, or if I wanted to draft Christian McCaffrey, I would go CMC, Andrews, Lamar, Kirk, Ayuk, and best ball, because then I can stack 15, 16, and 17.
Between the 49ers and the Ravens, right? Yeah.
And the Ravens and Jags play week 15.
So if you stack Lamar and Trevor, if you have Christian Kirk, like you mentioned, yeah.
I mean, look at Christian Kirk's target share the last couple of weeks. I think he's been up like 24, 25%.
I've been last couple of weeks ranking him ahead of Calvin Ridley. Like, I do view Kirk as the wide receiver one on the Jags. I know you're a Jaguars fan. Do you agree with my sentiment there, or do you still default towards Ridley and he'll bounce back to what he did the week one?
I feel like Calvin Ridley, if he could ever catch a cold in Alaska, can be that one. I feel like is more consistent, always reliable, always there. He can score the touchdown. Christian Kirk, if you want like 12 to 15 points a week, Kirk's always there. Ridley could be hot and cold. 1 week it might be 30. The next week it might be 30 yards.
Yeah, no, for sure. It seems like he's the more boom bust player. Yeah. So we've got a question here from Tamian. Tutu Atwell or Jahan Dotson? I think if this is a rest of season question, I feel like I definitely want Jahan Dotson because I think he has the potential to be better at points through the season and give you some good spike weeks, where I feel like Atwell's role is just going to continue to diminish. Even for weekly, it might be Dotson anyway, but I think if it's a 1 week start sit decision, I think I'm fine going Atwell because of the offense. What do you think, Dylan?
I think I would take Dotson too. He said to shed some light, 32-man league PPR. I have Dotson, and someone offered me Tutu and $50 free agency spending.
Yeah, so it's a trade question. Interesting. I don't know that. Yeah, you see, I don't know that 50 fab is enough to make me want to get Dotson, for instance. Like, I think
maybe 100.
That's the thing I'm thinking. Like, if a player like Dotson becomes available, what is that worth? Like, you'd spend your entire budget to get him, right? So, if someone's willing to offer their entire budget, whatever's left of it, maybe 50 is all that's left of it too. Tough for me to want to. I don't know. I think it seems like Atwell's a descending asset. Like, now that Kupp's back, the targets are going to be monopolized by basically Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, or they're just going to run the ball. And so I don't know that I'm really going to want to rely on Tutu Atwell. Dotson has not been very reliable, so I also understand the sentiment of wanting to get off him. But I would hold because I think he has a lot more potential.
I feel like Dawson's due for a big week. I mean, like he's on the field. It's just like they can't give him the ball. Well, I mean, I'm not saying Sam Howell's been bad. I mean, Sam
Yeah,
Howell's been
no.
really good, but it's been
One
but
target, right? Like it's just everything to McLaurin and Curtis Samuel, and then even Logan Thomas didn't get much last week either. So yeah, and I mean they throw in a lot to the running backs in the red zone. I think both Gibson and Robinson caught touchdown passes. So like which that was a big part of Dotson's season last year. He led the team in touchdown receptions and I think scrimmage touchdowns overall. And like he was the guy they went to in the red zone. It doesn't seem to be the case this year. Again, that can flip. That could be a matchup thing where they just this team is really bad at defending the running back, which is why both our guys were able to score. Maybe the matchups where Dotson gets those favorable matchups, that's where he can get that touchdown upside. I have a hard time seeing Tutu more than just like a clogging receiver where you're considering dropping him every week to pick up someone new, but you also see what he did earlier in the year. Feel like I don't know. I don't really want much to do with Atwell the rest of the year. I think I started him a couple spots last week, and now I'm feeling like they're really showing that it wasn't Puka Nakua that was gonna. Oh, I mean he wasn't getting 15 targets like week one, but his role wasn't going to disappear when Cup came back. Atwell was the one that's targets were kind of inflated artificially because of Cup's absence.
and plus, don't forget Tyler Higbee over the middle. So I mean, Atwell's what the number 4 option in LA.
And yeah, because I think that was the thing. Atwell was operating ahead of Higbee without Cup there, but now that Cup's there, he not only falls behind Cup, you're right, he falls behind the tight end. And if they ever throw to the running backs, maybe that guy too. Want to continue with any regrets, Dylan?
Yeah. Yeah, the rookie wide receivers. I mean, seemed like the rookie wide receivers became so intriguing. Like, how early was it to draft rookie wide receivers in whatever kind of draft? I mean, JSN, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, Quentin Johnson.
Yeah.
I drafted a lot. Quentin Johnson thinking he could make a play with the Chargers. Addison, especially my Viking staff. JSN. I didn't really draft a lot of Zay Flowers, and I'm thinking Bateman was going to be the Raven #1 receiver. Now I'm like, oh, crud. Every week I see Zay Flowers going down the field catching touchdown. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me.
Yeah, for sure. I think trying to think of my regrets regarding rookie wide receivers. Honestly, I guess it's not to say because here's the thing: I was kind of in on Zay Flowers, and I think I've got the most of him of those four anyway. I think of other receivers, a bit of Jaden Reed from the Packers. He's been okay, so that hasn't really been a regret. I guess I would say it's more. I think back to rookie drafts where I was taking, say, a Rashee Rice or Marvin Mims or even a Jaden Reed or certainly Roshan Johnson. But I've just taken Sam Laporta in some of those spots. I thought he'd be the number 2 tight end. It turns out I was wrong with that. He's the number 1 tight end from this rookie class. So anything I have with pass catching rookies is just not getting any of Laporta. Actually, I believed in him, but I always felt I just preferred to go the receivers or some of these running backs where he was going too early for me. But I feel like that's my regret there with the rookies.
Yeah, I mean, I was a big rookie tight end drafter. Drafted a ton of Laporta, a ton of Musgrave,
Nice.
a ton. Loved getting Kincaid with the Bills. That's why they're not giving him the bleeping ball, but that's another story.
Yeah, I guess my regret is kind of I thought all those guys were just a little too expensive in dynasty drafts, and I was like, well, I'll get Tucker Kraft and Bretton Strange in the 4th round. I think they have maybe 1 catch combined this year, so yeah.
Although Strange did get a touchdown against the Colts on Sunday.
Oh, well, there you go. So there you go. How strange of that to work out. Finally. Now, I guess the one thing that I guess I can transition my other regret that's kind of more general, but just not trusting my gut enough sometimes. Where I'd kind of have a conviction about something, but then let the consensus rankings and maybe other people's opinions kind of make me waver from what I want to do, and then I would either not draft certain players because I thought they'd be my convictions were they'd be good, but then I let kind of people talk me into maybe they will lose opportunities and not taking them at a value. And in other instances, players I didn't quite believe in, letting NFL teams potentially with what they've invested in wise, but the moves they've made, but also the community kind of pumping up a player. And I've taken a couple spots where it's like, I wish I didn't take them. So there's really two examples I can think of at the opposite ends of not trusting my gut. One is Ken Walker. So I had him actually as my dynasty RB1 before the NFL draft. And then Zach Charbonnet came. I lowered him a little, and then I kept kind of lowering him through the summer, and then his draft price definitely dropped from a dynasty perspective, but even a redraft perspective. And there were opportunities to buy cheaply, I think, to go get him for at a cheap price in the offseason in some dynasty leagues. And I bought him in one league before the draft, and I kind of, I gave away Brees Hall and a second round pick to get Ken Walker. So I was tearing up to get him because I was thinking, this is the dynasty RB1. I want to get my share. And didn't quite have the confidence to buy him when he was lower, because I thought when Charbonnet was drafted, this is really going to hurt Charbonnet. Like, he's going to be stuck behind Walker. He's going to not really get many opportunities. I let some other people kind of tell me, no, I think this is really bad for Walker. Like, he's going to lose so many opportunities. Like, it'll be 50-50. Even Charbonnet might even take over. And I kind of let myself get convinced of that. There's a lot of risk on Walker. And I should have just kind of stuck to my guns. Out of 22 fantasy football leagues, dynasty and redraft, I have 2 shares. I love it, but I think I could have got a lot more if I just kind of stuck with my convictions. And then on the opposite end, and I'm sure there was a couple leagues where I drafted Jahmyr Gibbs, and I probably could have just taken Ken Walker in those spots. But my instinct was David Montgomery was going to be the Lions' RB1 in terms of fantasy points at the end of the year. I thought Gibbs would still do well, but I still thought Montgomery would be ahead of him and be enough of a problem. But then a couple leagues where, you know what, I'll take Gibbs. Like, why not? Just take a shot just in case. And sure enough, he really hasn't. And he might get an opportunity now with Montgomery injured. But so far, I think that was my thing. And those are the 2 players that came to mind when it not sticking to my guns. Could have turned those 2 Gibbs shares into probably 2 Ken Walker shares, honestly, because he was going so late. And, would have had 4 out of 22, which is a lot nicer than 2 out of 22 for a player I believe in so strongly.
By the way, get this. Somebody in my dynasty league, somebody offered me Puka Nacua for 1 and a 3 next year. Would you accept or decline that direct trade? Am I going to regret declining or accepting the trade offer right now?
Yeah, 1st and a 3rd, and I know it's a 1 QB dynasty league. I think if it was a super flex league, I'd take that because the chances that those could become or help get quarterbacks makes those picks so valuable. But in a single QB league, what you want your picks for elite assets, and Puka's kind of showed that. So I think a first is like, as long as you get what you want out of the first, right? Like, if you're selling Puka for that, and then you're combining the first with another player to go get an elite asset, that's then you're probably not going to regret that, because you have an even better.
Somebody's offering me the one Puka for 1 and 3.
Oh, you're 103. Okay.
No, a right 1st and a 3rd.
A 1 and a 3. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. I guess, yeah. And I guess that's like, my question is, what do you want to do with that first? Like, I imagine it's a 24 first, so next year's draft. Are you hoping to draft a player there, or do you want to use that to try and buy a player?
I want to buy players. I've got 4 first-round picks.
Okay, so then in that instance, is Puka, I guess, good enough to be considered a buy? Like, so you're saying this person obviously offered you this trade, so it's without. My first instinct is to go, what players are better than Puka that I think I could get this like a 1 and a 3 and could get that player for? And that would have to be like going through the list of like dynasty rankings, and like also seeing like, what those managers in that league, because maybe the person with Puka, are they trying to rebuild, or are they just not believing in him?
I don't know. Like, I'm trying to get Jalen Waddle. I'm trying to get some of these guys maybe on the cheap.
Yeah, Waddle. I know I tried to buy Waddle as well. I sent out JSN in a first to try and get Waddle from Gator J, co-host on the Dynasty Gambit on Thursday nights here on the Going for 2 Live network, and he rejected that. He ended up taking a package of 2 firsts for and a few other, like a couple other picks and a couple other young receivers for basically Cooper Kupp and Waddle. So all to say, like, it's going to be a first plus. So yeah, probably a 1st and a 3rd probably doesn't get you Waddle. But if that means you giving up your 1st and 3rd here doesn't give you the ammunition to get Waddle, I can see why you'd want to hold for that better asset. So I think honestly, before I wouldn't reject it right away. I'd go make that offer for Waddle. Like if I was you, I'd just go make that give a first and a second for Waddle. Or honestly, in a single QB league, if you think the first are late, I'd be fine giving up 2 firsts for Waddle. He seems like that type of elite asset. I might just go with that offer straight off and kind of show the strong offer. To be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to get Jalen Waddle, especially in the low end. I'm trying to get some of these guys. I mean, it seems like all the first. It seems like every top fantasy player has been hurt this year. I mean, Justin Jefferson hurt, Christian McCaffrey hurt, Saquon Barkley hurt. Who else?
Anthony Richardson and Fields both doing well in fantasy. They're hurt.
Money.
I mean, Cooper Kupp hurt, right? Like even before the season. You're right. David Montgomery's hurt. Yeah. Devon Achane hurt.
Yeah, everybody's dynasty leagues are.
Which means the healthy guys just become that much more scarce. So yeah, I mean, like, yeah, if you really want, I would say Waddle. The other guy that comes to mind is Devontae Smith. He's had a few poor performances.
Actually, one of us just acquired Devontae Smith in that league.
Oh, nice. What'd you give up?
I will. I don't really want to talk. I think
that's fine. No worries. No, the important thing is you got Devontae. That's great.
I'm trying to think what I did.
But yeah, like that's the you see, like that's the tier of receiver that I think is a good one to target. So Waddle would make sense there. The other one I think of is DK Metcalf as well. Could be a potential trade target. But yeah, if you want Waddle, Dylan, what I would do is just hold the Nakua offer. It's on the table, and honestly, right now, go or like when the stream ends, go make an offer for Waddle and see is he available? Because sometimes you might even overpay for a player, but that manager doesn't want to move them because I've built the team for these elite players. The package is nice, but what I would want to do with that is get elite players like what I already have. So, like, I think make a strong enough deal to see is Waddle actually available, and B, what the price is on him. And then that'll give you context to is Puka, for 1 and a 3, like, is that a good price to go with you said 4 first-round picks next year. Yeah, if you can go buy players and use that to help you fuel a playoff run, certainly.
Because unlike 23 where there were 2 can't miss dynasty running backs, I'm not sure there's one really in this draft because it's going to be the 25 draft where the kid from Penn State, I can't think from his name off the top of my head.
It's Singleton?
Yeah, Singleton's looks like he's the next great Penn State tailback.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a tradition there. We've seen even recently, and Miles Sanders maybe has disappointed on expectations, but he's still been really good. And of course, Saquon Barkley. I suppose Travion Henderson has been kind of talked up. The one I've heard the most is for this 24 class is potentially being the best running back. I'll hold off my judgment until I really go view and see them. But yeah, it does look like, especially in a 1 QB league, Marvin Harrison Jr. almost seems destined to be locked in as the 101 in terms of rookie draft. You either have him or you don't, so it's going to all be about just getting that first.
Hey, and George Flay 01 says, hey guys, I have CMC. I don't know if he's going to play on Monday. Should I add Jordan Mason or Zach Evans as a priority? I don't think, I'll be honest with you, I don't think there's a chance McCaffrey doesn't play until week 10 because San Francisco plays on Monday night. Then they play the Bengals coming off a short week, then a week 9 bye. So we've seen teams be more cautious with guys, particularly in and around the bye week. I mean, the Chargers probably held out Austin Eckler an extra week because LA had a week 5 bye. So I think there's a chance McCaffrey doesn't play until week 10. And with Elijah Mitchell hurt again, I think Jordan Mason potentially is the next man up in San Francisco.
Yeah, for sure. I think even if it is just for 1 week, the security of McCaffrey is if McCaffrey's healthy, you're playing him. He's that such rare difference maker that if he's in there, his touchdown upside is so strong that even if he doesn't get a full workload, he's so efficient that he'll get you the points. So you want to have a player that will give you the opportunity to play McCaffrey if he's active. And then the fact that Mason would also play on Monday means that if McCaffrey's in, you play him. If not, then you can easily just put Mason in the lineup. You don't even normally I say with Monday night players, if they're questionable, but in almost all instances anyway, you want to put your Monday night players in the flex. Now, you're kind of saving your flex spot for that injured player. But with Mason, that gives you in sense flexibility. You could just play McCaffrey as a normal running back and replace him with Mason. So, and B, I think, yeah, like you said, Dylan, there's a chance McCaffrey misses longer than Kyron Williams at this point, who, from the talks, and I know the shout out to at TFS Doc, the fantasy sports doc, Dr. James Ferretti, in his great book, Injuries Suck, but your fantasy team doesn't have to. Just kind of reading between the lines what they've said about the Kyron Williams injury, it sounds like a low ankle sprain, not a high ankle sprain. So with the low ankle sprain, there's like docs talked about that in the past. Like with the low ankle sprain, they may not even miss a week. It looks like Kyron Williams at this point probably, I don't know if I don't know if I want to say 50-50. It does seem like the chances are he might probably will miss this next game, but it seems like beyond this week 7, Williams will be fine. So you may not get that much usage out of Zach Evans. There's a chance, like you said, Dylan, Jordan Mason could be the lead running back for the 49ers for maybe a month. So yeah, I think he might be one of the biggest priority ads of the season. Not like probably since Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams, week 1 type thing, like that, like those guys that immediately showed week 1, week 2. We haven't really seen the big waiver wire names. I think this Jordan Mason might be the big one.
By the way, I traded Amon-Ra and a 3rd-round pick for Devontae Smith and Kieran Williams. And now
okay.
Kieran Williams.
You had talked about potentially trading Amon-Ra, for a few, like a lot of people were making offers, and you kind of DM me what those offers were, and I seemed very underwhelmed, and so did you. But Devontae Smith is basically almost that, I would say, that same tier as Amon-Ra St. Brown. So you're still getting that young elite producing wide receiver, which is an elite asset in Dynasty. And so sorry, can you say it again? What else you got besides Devontae?
Kieran Williams.
Okay, you got Kyron Williams, and then you gave up Amon-Ra in a 3rd. Okay, yeah. Well, and you know what? Kyron Williams has been really productive, and again, it looks like he's getting all the snaps. It's very McCaffrey-like, and like what McCaffrey was like with the Panthers, where they would just play him for basically 100% of the snaps, give him every opportunity. Seems like Kyron has been that, so it's been great, fantastic for fantasy. So once he's back healthy, he should return to prominence there.
And then one of my other trades, I traded Amari Cooper and a 24-2 for Brandon Ayuk.
Okay, yeah, the way Ayuk's been playing, that does seem like that's a worthy tier up upgrade. And yeah, with McCaffrey out and potentially Debo out, I'd expect Ayuk, like the target volume is really going to go up here, especially coming off a loss. They're going to be sort of not desperate for a win, but 49ers don't want to lose ground to the Eagles necessarily in that race for that 1 seed. So you got to think they're going to make with a purpose, especially after Purdy's poor performance. Okay, let's get him back into a good game, and maybe that means to me a lot of targets from Ayuk and Kittle, to be honest.
Plus, the Niners play Minnesota in a dome on Monday night.
Yeah, sounds like a great week to have Brandon Ayuk high in the rankings. So good job to get Ayuk there.
Yeah, my guillotine league, I thought I was going to end up in trouble. Oddly enough, I thought I was going to end up in trouble because Monty and Debo were both hurt for me.
Yeah, no, that's rough. Last week during the game, right? They were in your lineups, and yeah.
And I thought Tony Pollard was going to get like another 20-yard touchdown, and I'm like, oh no, this is going to be. I'm dead. I'm dead if he catches this touchdown. I'm like, I'm dead. Not eliminated, at least for another week.
You've saved your head. That's great. Have you? I think I've gone through all of my regrets. Have you saved any fantasy regrets you want to share at the end here?
Yeah, probably drafting too much Kenneth Gainwell and McKinnon, thinking those guys are going to be more involved, and maybe those guys are, but I didn't think it'd be DeAndre Swift time in Philly, but this is probably about the time where he gets hurt, and Isaiah Pacheco looks like he could box the whole defense with how he's played.
Yeah, Pacheco, I see, like you said, McKinnon, I had so much, I still do have so much Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and he's just taking up space on a bunch of benches, not producing, which the leagues I have Pacheco in makes me happy how good Pacheco's been. But yeah, I definitely relate to that one. All right, well, this was great, Dylan. Do you want to plug anything about any content you create and things you're doing?
You can check me out on the Spunky Spectrum Sports YouTube page. host the Big D podcast, and occasionally even write on the Going for Two page. Might have something coming out later this week. So I mean, week 7 feels like a gross week with so many good teams, so many good players on bye weeks, so many injuries. It's like, ugh.
Yeah, no, for sure. The bye apocalypse is here, week 7. Good luck, lucky number 7. Unlucky for us with all the bye weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
I'm
5, 7, 9, and 13 on the big bye weeks.
Yeah, for sure. So bye, folks. I'm Kyle Center at Center Says. Catch me every Monday on the Going for Two Live Network, part of the 2 Point Conversion Monday Night Football pregame show. I guess it's 49ers Vikings next Monday. We'll be previewing. Oh boy. But yes, thank you all for watching. Hope you didn't regret watching this fantasy football regret show. Thank you, Dylan.